there is a role for a sovereign state and there is a role for the European Union. So to the comments which were made by my colleagues, I would say that sovereign states reacted very quickly, and in particular sovereign states in Central Europe, and this is why Central Europe was much more successful in terms of with regard to fighting coronavirus than some others. And then there was a role for the European Union, and there was good negotiation in July about the package, and the package will probably kick in somewhere 2021. So had we not done our sovereign state job, we probably be in the middle of nowhere in terms of the European Union altogether. So we have to understand the two dimensions. With regard to the democracy, liberal democracy, and the others, we have to focus on, and the other topics, we have to focus on specific issues rather than blaming some countries. Well, my personal opinion is that there is a blame on Central Europe because Central Europe is on the rise. The Visegrad countries.
Who is blaming Central Europe?
Well, like some other capital cities and Brussels. It's on the rise, so we become more and more competitive. We are competitors to the others. Competition is good, by the way. So to all our friends all over the world, and in Europe in particular, who think that we should be suppressed because we create competition, I think we should be, our answer should be, competition internally within the European Union is good because through this, the whole of the European Union becomes more competitive. And this is where the global politics comes into play. By the way, I have to mention Belarus these days because for all of people who would like to indicate at some deficiencies in democracy in Central Europe, I completely reject it. Not only in contrast to Belarus, what is happening, and comparing this to the Central Europe, but also being very specific, like freedom of speech, freedom of media. In Poland, by the way, 80% of media is in the hands of the opposition, so I don't know how more free the media could be. The third, freedom of manifestations and demonstrations. I see some happenings in Western Europe where there is police beating people brutally, and this is all democracy and all is fine. And when there are peaceful demonstrations in Prague or in Warsaw or in Budapest, things are wrong in the eyes of the others. So, sir, please be more just and objective and based on facts. Fact-based treatment and fact-based discussion is I understand, the backbone of our internal European discussion.
As Prime Minister...
And one more observation, which is missing from the discussion internally in the European Union. Well, like, there was one Bloomberg, which is mainstream agency, I understand, commentary 2 or 3 years ago, how Western capital colonized Eastern Europe. Fine, okay, we got colonized in the 90s, in the noughties until 2020. And 4% of Polish GDP goes in the forms of dividend to Western Europe. Okay, that's freedom of capital. But when the Central European companies, small and mid-sized companies, try to fight on the European market, single European market, we got hit back by some by some directives, like mobility package, like delegated workers, and by the way, freedom of delivering services is completely not yet fulfilled in the European Union. So all the freedoms which are very much in favor of richer countries are more or less completed. Freedom of movement of people, capital, and goods. And the fourth one, which is freedom of delivering services, providing services, is not so much completed. And this is this freedom through which the whole of the competitiveness of the European Union could be risen, could be lifted. And this is where Central European countries could more quickly catch up with the
Prime Minister,
with the
let me ask you one final question. You've just had a presidential election where the president was re-elected by a very narrow majority. He's therefore remained in power, but there was clearly a significant pushback. What are you reading into the division now within Poland? Clearly the electoral division. Because what we have is a number of capitals here, a number of countries where there is real pushback. You've got it here in Slovenia on Friday nights. You've got it in Bulgaria as well. You've had it in the Czech Republic. What are you reading? What have you politically taken away from that? The fact that there is division.
Nothing really so much new for me. This came not as a surprise, frankly speaking.
But what does
because
it tell you?
5 years ago, when we came to power, we were against the most important groups of interest in Poland. Okay, so we were attacked from all over the place: media, business, foreign centers, and so on. And I try to be realistic. I understand all those attacks. But we've done a lot for Polish citizens and to build Central European unity together with Visegrad, together with Lithuania today, and so on. And this is the base for our success. So there is not a surprising polarization, sir. For me, it's normality in the context of democracy. We've done this against all odds, all the brutal attacks from foreign media, foreign centers of power, from internal groups of interest, and this is why I'm so happy that the last 4 elections, municipal, European parliamentary elections and presidential elections, were won by us, despite all odds, which should be an indication to you and to many other commentators, and you should not comment it as populist, nationalist, and so on. It's simply a different approach to post-communist world. I was fighting during the Solidarity times for freedom, democracy, and rule of law. And I don't want to be stigmatized by some people because they try to exercise their politics through such statements.